Sheena, and a man who is going to be a great conservative governor for all the people of Missouri. I'm very humbled by that introduction and by his esteem. Abraham Lincoln said once that his only ambition in life was to be esteemed by people he esteemed. But Eric Greitens knows me well enough to know the introduction I prefer is a little bit shorter. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. And I'm honored to be with you all. Honored to be with you all on this day in Missouri, and I have to tell you, I did join this campaign. Just less than 2 months ago, a little more than 6 weeks ago, I joined this ticket with my wife at my side. I was deeply humbled to accept my party's nomination, not just to run, but to serve as the next Vice President of the United States of America. And I want to tell you what, I accepted this job in a heartbeat. Because, ladies and gentlemen of Missouri, I'm here to tell you, you have nominated a man for president who never quits. He's a fighter. He's a winner. And until very recently, it seemed like he was out there fighting all on his own. But now this movement is coming together. Missouri is coming together. America's coming together. And we're going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States of America. I got to tell you, saw it in Springfield earlier today, saw it in Ohio yesterday. We went to a county fair. Did you see it on TV? I mean, look, I'm from Indiana. I've been to a lot of county fairs. But we pulled into this county fair. There were more than 50,000 people at the Canfield County Fair because they know we can make America great again. This campaign is gaining momentum every day. We're winning hearts and minds in states all across America. Missouri, we just saw that new poll out, 9 points ahead. And about a month ago, I didn't know if you saw it, about a month ago, CNN had this race with Hillary Clinton ahead by 8 points. Today, CNN reports that Donald Trump is leading Hillary Clinton 45-43 in their new national poll. Okay. That one had to hurt. You know, people ask me, I mean, really. But people ask me all the time, they say, what is it about Donald Trump? How come he's inspired this incredible movement of Americans? And I simply say, you know, I'm from south of Highway 40 in Indiana. We speak pretty plainly down there. I say, I don't know, Donald Trump just gets it. Am I right? I mean, he's a genuine article. He's a distinctly American leader. He is his own man, and he's a doer. He's a builder. He's a doer in a game usually reserved for talkers. And when he does his talking, he doesn't go tiptoeing around those thousands of rules of political correctness that they put in the way of men and women that want to make a difference. Donald Trump tells it like it is, and the American people hear him loud and clear. And I got to tell you, it's really kind of fun to watch. I mean, really and truly, you know, the party in power just can't seem to figure out my running mate. And of course, I'm talking about the media. You know, I mean, you got the party in power and the media out there, and they think they figured him out. You know, they spend more time focusing on what Donald Trump said or tweeted in the last 30 minutes than they do talking about what the Clintons have been up to for the last 30 years. All right? Good. But it's kind of fun, I watch these shows. Mrs. Pence and I get off the campaign trail, we get in late at night, we turn the shows on, and they're in there talking. They think they got them this time. They got that word, right? They got a tweet, they got something, and then they say they finally done him in, and then the next morning you turn on the TV, and Donald Trump is still standing stronger than ever before and fighting all his way, and he'll fight all the way to the White House. Telling you what. And I can tell you, I've gotten to know this good man. I've gotten to know him up close and personal. When the Klieg lights are off and all the cameras are gone. Hey, this is a man who loves his family. He loves this country. And Donald Trump has never forgotten the men and women who built America. People that grow the food, people that work with their hands, who build the roads and bridges, who tend to our sick, who teach our kids. And I'll tell you something, because I see him stop every time he's walking down a back hallway in a kitchen or walking out to an airplane. The man can't walk by a law enforcement officer without stopping him and thanking him. I just promise you, as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America, a President Donald Trump will stand with the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement. He'll make sure they have the resources and the support to protect our families and go home safe to theirs. I know he'd want me to do it, but would you just join me in thanking all the members of the law enforcement community who are with us here today? It really is amazing. At the very moment when America is crying out for something new and different, the other party has answered with a stale agenda and the most predictable of names. Isn't it amazing? I mean, people in both parties in this country are restless for change. We know things can be better. We know America can be stronger, and yet the other party has literally nominated somebody who represents everything this country's tired of. So let's just decide, can we, right now, here in Missouri, that Hillary Clinton will never be elected president of the United States of America. And the reasons I want to tell you about today are really fourfold. I'll go through them real quick. I really will. It's about security. It's about prosperity. It's about our Supreme Court of the United States, and it's about upholding the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. That's what this election is about. On the foreign policy front, 7.5 years of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's leadership on the world stage has weakened America's place in the world. It's incredible to think about it. You look at a map of the wider Middle East in 2009 when Barack Obama became president. You look at a map of it today, you almost doesn't look like you're looking at the same part of the world. Terrorist attacks at home and abroad, grim and heartbreaking scenes among our allies. Civil war tearing apart countries. Terrorist sponsoring states doing deals with the greatest nation on earth. History teaches us that weakness arouses evil. And Donald Trump and I believe that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's foreign policy of leading from behind, moving red lines, feigning resets with Russia, the rise, rule, and reign of ISIS, and paying ransom to terrorist sponsoring states is a testament. Let me make you a promise. When Donald Trump is president of the United States of America, we won't be paying ransom to terrorist sponsoring states. They'll be paying a price if they threaten the American people or detain our citizens. But Hillary Clinton's record on foreign affairs is extraordinary. I heard that this afternoon in North Carolina, her running mate's going to give a speech about her record on national security and foreign affairs. what a coincidence. So am I. I mean, despite traveling millions of miles as our Secretary of State, the truth is the world is more dangerous today than the day that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton took office. Hillary Clinton's record on foreign affairs is heartbreaking. I mean, it was Hillary Clinton who instigated that disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran that culminated in the delivery of $400 million in ransom payment the day the 4 Americans were released from captivity. It was Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama who made the decision to precipitously and recklessly withdraw all American forces from Iraq after our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine had fought to secure that nation in the wake of the surge. I hope you know that you have a candidate for governor who was a part of the very surge that fought and stabilized and won the peace in Operation Iraqi Freedom. But what Navy SEAL Eric Greitens won, what our fellow countrymen won at great cost in a stable and secure Iraq in 2009 was squandered because of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. And the vacuum that they created with that precipitous withdrawal really created the environment in which ISIS was able to rise up, as it were, conjured out of the sand to compromise vast areas that had been won by the American soldier. And while we're talking about her record, it was Hillary Clinton. It was Hillary Clinton's State Department and Hillary Clinton that left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi. And after four Americans fell, and controversy arose over the original story about it was about a video, and eventually they conceded it was a straight-up terrorist attack. She actually said before the United States Senate about that controversy, quote, and of those fallen Americans, quote, what difference at this point does it make? Well, let me just say, as the proud father of a United States Marine, anybody that said that, anybody that did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Okay? For real. The foreign policy failures of this administration are extraordinary. Not only embracing Iran, abandoning Israel, appeasing Russia, the losses in Iraq, the hollowing out of our military, the rise of ISIS, and the list goes on. America has lost so much credibility and respect in the world that here during the G20 conference, North Korea fires 3 ballistic missiles. The president has to endure a vulgar diatribe from the leader of our ally in the Philippines. And the President of the United States was required to walk out of the belly of his plane because the Chinese wouldn't even deliver his own staircase. You know, last week, Hillary Clinton's running mate called Donald Trump's meeting with the President of Mexico, which was universally praised. Demonstrated that you can still walk softly and carry a big stick on the world stage. Well, her running mate said that it was evidence of a, quote, diplomatic amateur hour, close quote. Well, the truth is it's been amateur hour on the world stage for the last 7.5 years. And And America and our allies and those who defend this nation know it. Maybe that's why today 88 retired U.S. generals and admirals endorse Donald Trump as the next Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. They know what the American people know. We cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. They know Donald Trump will rebuild our military, stand by our allies, stand up to our enemies, and America will again command the respect of the world. But the record here at home is just as disappointing. You know, I know they like to give the rosy speeches about how things are good in America. The truth is, what Eric Greitens knows and what I know is that any progress you've made here in Missouri, any progress we made back in the Hoosier State, is in spite of the policies that have come out of this administration, not because of them. Men and women of Missouri, we're in the midst of the weakest economic recovery since the Great Depression. We have today, the day after Labor Day, a day when we celebrate the working men and women of this country. We have the lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s. Don't be deceived by the low unemployment rate across this country. There are millions and millions of Americans who are not counted in that rate because there are millions of men and women who are simply not looking for work anymore. And most heartbreaking of all, there are nearly 7 million more Americans living in poverty today than the day that Barack Obama became President of the United States. Hillary Clinton's plan is more of the same. I mean, I watched her speech at her convention. I watched most of it. I had as hard a time staying awake as her husband did, to be honest with you. But it wasn't because it was long or it was late. It was just the same old stuff. I mean, it was more taxes, more regulation, more Obamacare, more of the war on energy that's been stifling jobs here in Missouri and all across America. $1 trillion in new spending, $1 trillion in tax increases. It truly is extraordinary when you think about it. Now, they tell us this economy is the best that we can do. But you know what? What Donald Trump and I know, it's nowhere near the best that we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes President of the United States of America, we're going to get this economy working for all the people of Missouri and all the people of the United States. Donald Trump's got a plan. Donald Trump's got a plan to get this economy moving based on the time-honored principles that have worked every time they're tried. And one of the reasons I love coming to Missouri is you've got such a great tradition of conservatives here. I've already mentioned Eric Greitens, but let me thank Jay Ashcroft for stepping forward to serve as Secretary of State. It's so grateful to you, Jay. You got Congressman Jason Smith, who's here, and all these great conservatives. You know, I always like to say that, conservative ideas work every time you try them. And Donald Trump's ready to try them again in Washington, D.C. All right? And I served in Washington, D.C. for 12 years. Sometimes I tell people if I only had 12 years left to live, I'd want to live it as a member of Congress. Because that was the longest 12 years of my life. I mean, you got great Republican majorities in the House and in the Senate. You got to reelect those good people. You got to reelect Senator Roy Blunt from this great state of Missouri. But what we need is a president. What we need is a president who's working with all those great conservatives in Congress and moving forward an agenda that'll jumpstart this economy, and Donald Trump has got it. I hope you had a chance to check out that speech at the Detroit Economics Club. If you didn't, check it out. Donald Trump and I have a plan, very, very simple. We're going to streamline taxes for everybody. We're going to streamline deductions, and we're going to cut marginal tax rates across the board for working families, small businesses, and family farms. We're going to lower business taxes. We're going to lower business taxes in America so that American businesses can compete with businesses around the world and keep jobs here in Missouri. We're going to end death taxes once and for all. Death will no longer be a taxable event. And on the first day, we're going to recognize that regulation is a form of taxation, and Donald Trump's going to sign, like we did back in the Hoosier State, like Eric Greitens going to do here in Missouri. Day one of a Trump administration, we're going to sign a suspension of all new federal regulation, and we're going to repeal every Obama executive order that's stifling jobs in this economy. Every single one. Every single one. And Donald Trump's going to make sure that we put the American worker first. We're going to roll our sleeves up. Donald Trump is going to roll his sleeves up when he becomes the negotiator-in-chief. And we're going to have trade deals that work for the American worker and support jobs in the United States. And we're going to end illegal immigration once and for all, and the cost jobs and lower wages that are driven by it. We're going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. And lastly, because Donald Trump and I believe the blessings of this nation are found in the hearts of our people, their faith and their character and our freedom, but that they're also found in our vast natural resources. On day one of the Trump administration, we're going to end the war on coal once and for all. We're going to develop all the resources of this nation and call forth its power and support jobs in America. Now honestly, there's a lot of economists out there that are pretty excited about that. They look at that Trump agenda and it sounds reminiscent of what worked back in the 1980s. Right? In fact, I want to tell you something. I'm going to be at the Reagan Presidential Library on Thursday this week. And I'll just be honest with you. For the next 62 days, Ronald Reagan is my favorite president of the United States. I mean, Donald Trump has made a connection, given voice to the frustrations and the aspirations of the American people like no one since Ronald Reagan. But it's beyond the personal connection. It's the ideals. It's the common sense conservative principles that he's prepared to go to Washington and fight to bring about. And there's a lot of economists out there that think that things are going to go. When Reagan did that in the early 1980s, cut taxes, rolled back regulation, released the full power of the American energy economy, rebuild our military, America came roaring back, the longest peacetime expansion since World War II. A lot of people see that's about to happen, and I'm one of them. Now, Hillary Clinton said the other day, that predictions about a recovering economy under a Trump administration were, quote, wildly unrealistic. Well, you know, Donald Trump and I think the only thing wildly unrealistic is electing the same people with the same bad ideas and expecting a different result. To change the course of the American economy, we've got to change the leadership of America, and that's Donald Trump. Now, as this election approaches, there's two other things I want to mention to you before I go. You know, we're going to elect a president for the next 4 years. But this next president will likely set the course and direction of the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 40 years. We all better think very carefully about that. We better think about what that means to the liberties that are enshrined in our Constitution. And I can't help but stand here today and think about the role the Supreme Court has played in defending the ability of states to protect the unborn. The role the Supreme Court has played in defending the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms of law-abiding citizens in this country. The role the Supreme Court has played in protecting all of our God-given liberties. And when I think about those battles, I can't help but think today with a little bit of a heavy heart about an American icon, a woman of courage who went home to be with the Lord yesterday, Phyllis Schlafly. I had the chance to call Phyllis Schlafly a friend. I knew St. Louis is home. I can tell you that. I can tell you. Let me just tell you, it was an honor to know her. Phyllis Schlafly was the first lady of the conservative movement. She was the real spirit of St. Louis, and we will never forget her courage, her conviction, or the difference she made in America. Promise. But let me say to all of you, if you cherish those constitutional liberties for which she always fought to defend, the unalienable right to life and liberty, then for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of all our God-given liberties, let's just decide here in Missouri that the next President of the United States of America to make appointments to the Supreme Court will be President Donald Trump. So it's about security. It's about prosperity. It's about the Supreme Court of the United States of America and Donald Trump's vision to make America great again in every one of those categories, to make America strong at home and abroad, and to stand firmly without apology on our Constitution. But there's one other issue. And it's the one, frankly, that has just been hard to keep up with. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, after all kinds of denials, new emails came to light. New emails came to light that seemed to provide the first direct evidence that while she was Secretary of State of the United States of America, our chief diplomat and the number 3 constitutional officer in the country, the Clinton Foundation was accepting millions of dollars from foreign donors who were then given access and appointments with the Secretary of State and who knows what else. Men and women, it really is about maintaining, we have to ensure that we maintain the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. And frankly, we just in the last few days learned that the FBI found 15,000 more emails that Hillary Clinton didn't turn over. Thanks to Judicial Watch, there's 725 pages of new State Department documents. Give credit to the Associated Press. They actually found that 85 of 154 meetings given to contributors. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm experiencing what I call Clinton corruption fatigue. But there is a cure. There is a cure. Make sure that the next president of the United States of America is Donald Trump. And that's over. That's all over. But you got to know the facts. I still got to give you one more Got to give you one more piece. And that was with the release by the FBI of notes from her interview back on the 4th of July. They released them right before Labor Day weekend. Here's what we find out. On March 2nd, stay with me on this, March 2nd, 2015, the New York Times reported on the existence of Hillary Clinton's private email server. Okay? Now, that's not a separate email account. That's a server that she maintained completely separate from any other system. March 4th, 2015, 2 days later, the House Benghazi Committee subpoenaed emails from Clinton's email system. On March 9th, a preservation request was sent to the company that operated her server, a company called Platte River Networks. On March 25th, Platte River Networks held a conference call with the Clinton staff. And sometime between March 25th and March 31st, a Platte River Networks employee wiped the private server of Hillary Clinton clean with a high-tech system called Bleach Pit. You know, I remember a day when I was a boy that a president got run out of town for deleting 18 and a half minutes. Hillary Clinton deleted nearly 18,000 emails. That doesn't look like politics, folks. That looks like obstruction. And the American people are sick and tired of it. We must have the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. Let me make you a promise. When Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America, the days of the rigged system for the favored few will come to an end. He will uphold the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land, and his only special interest will be you, the American people, and he'll fight for you every single day. You know, as I get ready to close here, let me just speak a word of not so much about the choice, because it's a clear choice. And when you leave here today, I hope you didn't just come to hear a speech. I hope you didn't just come to sweat off a few pounds. I hope you came here to leave with a burden on your heart. To tell somebody. I hope you leave here today and lay out for people that this is a choice in this election. And the choice could not be more clear. It's a choice between security and prosperity that is built on traditional sources of American strength. It's a choice between philosophies of government founded on the Constitution or one that essentially legislates from the bench, and it's about those high standards in public life and being held up to those high standards. But I hope when you leave here and you talk to your neighbors and friends, I hope you also tell them that in Donald Trump and his running mate, there are two people. I hope you tell them that there's two people. There's two people that will always believe in our heart of hearts that there will always be more in this country that unites us than can ever divide these United States of America. Can you say that? It's a challenging time. I don't need to tell you here in the greater St. Louis area about the challenging times in which we live, the divided times. It seems like there are so few great purposes that unite us, but there is one, and I want to tell you that when you put on that red hat with that great slogan on it, and he wears his all the time, I want to tell you that when Donald Trump says "Make America Great Again," he means we're going to make America great again for every American, regardless of race or creed or color. We're going to fight. We're going to make the American dream come alive. We're going to make the American dream come alive whether you live in the city or you live on the farm. We're going to open it up regardless of where you start in life, regardless of where you want to start in life. Because he and I we both basically have grown up with a front row seat to the American dream. I mean, he and I really have a lot in common. I mean, his grandfather immigrated to this country. My grandfather immigrated to this country. His father was a self-made man who built a business. My father married that immigrant's daughter, took her down to a cornfield in southern Indiana, ran a gas station business. I mean, Donald Trump built on what the kid from Queens decided to go to Manhattan Island and build an extraordinary business on what he'd been handed, and I followed a career into public service. I mean, truthfully, other than a whole bunch of zeros, he and I really have a lot in common. Sure, a lot. Because we both live the American dream. We were both raised to believe that anybody can be anybody in this country. That if you work hard, you study hard, you play by the rules, you look after your family, you look after your neighbor, that everybody can live the American dream. Because we lived it. We also, I know it proceeds out of his heart as it does mine, that we've raised to believe that to whom much is given, much will be required. So when you leave here and you go back to your neighborhoods and your homes, your place of work and your place of worship, I hope you'll tell people about that choice on security and prosperity and the Supreme Court and the high standards in public life. But I hope you'll also say, I was with Mike the other day, and I also heard that what animates Donald Trump, what animates that ticket, what animates this team, is a belief in the boundless potential of every American. That's what we mean when we say we'll make America great again. That's what we mean. So let me just close with this last word of admonition. Ladies and gentlemen, in Missouri, we have a choice to make. And Missouri will loom large in the nation's destiny, as it invariably always does. This is a state of strong people with strong opinions. And I know, because I'm from one too. But I just encourage you to go from here and reach out to your neighbors and friends, because I got to tell you, I believe this in my heart of hearts, and so does Donald Trump, that all the TV shows in the world, all of the front page stories in newspapers in the world, all the editorials, all the websites and pages don't matter one fraction of the credibility that you have with a neighbor and a friend or a coworker who knows you and respects you. So I want you to leave here and tell somebody that Donald Trump has got to be the next president of the United States. Just go do that. Will you? You got to do it. And secondly, let's go with faith. Let's be happy warriors. And if you're inclined as Mrs. Pence and I are, and as Eric Greitens is, and I didn't mention her before, but can you thank Catherine Hanaway for being a great public servant and a great friend? Thank you for your support. Whether it's Eric or Catherine or me or my wife Karen, I'd encourage you maybe to do one other thing if you're of a mind, and that is maybe in the days ahead, bend the knee, bow the head. But on this one, I'm really not asking you to pray for any particular candidate or cause or party or otherwise. Just pray for America, because I truly believe in these challenging times, what was true millennia ago is still true today. That if his people who are called by his name will humble themselves and pray, he'll He'll hear again from heaven, and He will heal our land. So, men and women of Missouri, just to recap. We've come to another time for choosing. So here it is. If you want a president who will protect this nation, rebuild our military, stand with our allies, and stand up to our enemies and destroy ISIS at its source, if you want a president who will restore law and order to the cities and towns of this nation and support law enforcement with the resources that they deserve, if you want a president who will cut taxes, grow this economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel, if you want a president who will build a wall, enforce our laws for the citizens of this country and for the people that are here legally and working in this country, and if you want a president, I'm ready. If you want a president who will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, then ladies and gentlemen of Missouri, let me tell you, you have but one choice. You got to tell your neighbors and friends that. You have but one choice, and I'm here to tell you, that man's ready. Yes. This team is ready. Yes. This movement is ready. Yes. Let's go make sure that Missouri is ready, and we will elect Donald Trump as the 45th President of the United States of America, and we will make America great again.